Hi, my name is Ethel Mafo, the Raising Boys' Right Advocate and the founding director of Junior Shapers Africa. We bring to you Fathers Matter. Fathers Matter is an initiative of Junior Shapers Africa to appreciate the relevance of fathers in the lives of children, especially boys. Fathers play a very significant role in mentoring future men, and we want to use this occasion to applaud all fathers who are making a great effort to mentor boys and to raise children who will be future leaders in our society. On the occasion of Father's Day, Junior Shapers Africa has put together profiles of men in media who are fathers. We are celebrating the men in media because they have a very tedious work schedule, yet they make time for their children. We want the future men out there to watch this interview and be inspired by them. Enjoy viewing.
When I found out I was going to be a father, I was really excited. I think it's one of the things you want and don't know when it's coming, and so when it finally did, I was really excited. I was looking forward to it. And when the birth happened, and unfortunately I couldn't be there for the birth, so as I was traveling, going in my mind, I couldn't wait to see how he looked like. It was so much excitement. So until I saw him, of course, mine was a little bit challenging because he went into intensive care right after birth, and so the excitement was cut short for the moment. But after he was discharged from the hospital, it was all joy, and it has been joy ever since. I try to be a very modern father. I'm very hands-on. I from the very early stages, I was feeding, I was changing diaper. And now that he's grown, I play with him a lot because as a boy, he's always very energetic, moving around. Sometimes something occupies his mind, and then before you know, he's fed up already. So I have to find out what he likes in terms of play, because at this stage, a lot of the learning is done through playing. And so when I'm around, I spend a lot of time. I work, but when I'm after, I always make time to play with him, to feed him, just to bond. So I think doing that also helps my wife to do other things, and she's also able to rest. My father was a very hardworking person, and that's one thing I always remember about him. And if he taught me anything, I think it would be the values of working hard, because he was somebody who did more than one. He had a travel and tours. He had a construction. He was building a pharmacy as well. And so while he was alive, he never rested. He was always looking for new ways, new businesses to do. And I think, although I'm not that kind of outgoing, vibrant person, I picked up a lot of those values from him, and which I apply to what I do, because my work is a little bit more relaxed and self-taught, and it comes from within. Be hands-on. Enjoy the moment with your children, your wife. These are things that I don't want to say you only experience it once, but it's a lifelong thing, and every stage matters. It adds to the memories. So happy Father's Day to everyone out there.
See, I think my dad was and still is a very strong influence because of his example. So he didn't talk much, but he led by example in educating 8 kids and raising them in the fear of God, all 8 of them. So he and my mom taught us a lot of sacrifice, because now I have 3 kids, and when I think about what it takes to raise a child, and I said, wow, and you did it for 8. So it means you are strong. And then of course, how to treat people. My dad will never shout on his wife. If he would not, he doesn't lose his temper much. And then he also taught us to pursue knowledge and wisdom. So you read. It was a very intellectual atmosphere. And he never imposed his will on you. So he would say, what do you want to do? When I finished, when I was in GSS2, I said, I want to do general arts. He says, are you sure? I said, yes. He said, okay, do general arts. He didn't say, oh, you have to do this or that. He doesn't say that. He will say, what do you want to do? So for me, that's very powerful. If you can't trust a child that you've trained to follow your path, and you have to force them to do something, it means you are not confident in yourself. So my dad is a very confident person. And I think I learned that from him. And also to question things. Because if you are doing morning devotion, the way he does it is discursive. So everybody has to contribute. So it makes you feel that you have a voice, even though you are young. I'm the youngest of the boys. I'm the 7th of 8 kids. But we all have a voice. He didn't say only the lie come. This person should speak and the kids should keep quiet. So even as a young journalist, I felt I have a right to speak. I have a right to question. And I think my dad did that. So, and of course, hunger for knowledge. Because he's always reading, always working. So I'm very inquisitive. And I think I got that from my dad too. Yeah, there are two ways of looking at it. Every child has the destiny God has given for them. My role is to guide them to discover it, not to decide for them. I'm relatively popular and apparently successful because I'm doing what I love, what I was born to do. I think my kids can be the best in the world if they are doing what they are really supposed to do, not living my life for me. So first thing is to let them discover who they are supposed to be, their strengths, their talents, and know that this is how it's supposed to be. Number two, they must know God, because we are created beings. We are made by God. We are Christians. They must know Christ. No matter how well they are educated, no matter how many things they achieve. And for me, I believe discovering purpose is linked with knowing your Maker. They have to. So lead them in the path of righteousness. Train up a child in the way he should go. And of course, speak the truth. You know, I think the lack of truth is what destroys societies. So they should be fearless, honest, truthful, and hardworking. The rest, God will take care of it. As for things like making money, you can never be successful at what you do and be poor. So I don't have a problem with that. We'll prepare for their future, we'll make sure we save and do all the things we have to do. But if they excel and they fear God, nothing can stop them. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers, all the prospective fathers, and in fact to all the men, because we are all potential fathers. Happy Father's Day. Keep being bright, keep leading, keep shining.
I'll tell you about two. One is what he told me. One is one that he really embodied without saying much. He always used to say, Daniel, life is as you make it. And he would always tell me that when he's advising me to do something and do it well. Like study hard, or wake up early, or iron my clothes, or brush my teeth in the evening, things like that. And he would always lay the emphasis on how the ultimate responsibility for how our life turns out is on us. So even though God is a powerful person and he has a lot of influence on who we become, we still have a huge responsibility for our actions. And that brings me to the second thing I learned from him, which is my dad loves God. And even today, I'm very envious of the sheer amount of time that he's able to spend with God in prayer and reading. And he has never given the impression that he's a perfect person. And he's never pretended to be someone who has everything figured out. But he always makes it clear, that constant, that a friendship with God is important. And that for me is the second and even more important thing that I pick from him. I think that is a huge responsibility, looking at someone else and knowing that you are responsible for how this person turns out. I think of my father, and when I look at younger people, because I spend a lot of my time speaking to younger people, when I look at younger people and I understand that I wish the things that I say, which are sometimes things I did not do, would have meaning for them, I realized then the difficulty my father must have had looking at me and telling me things and hoping that I would understand, because those things were the best for me. And how he would live in a certain way, I know, just because he's made some sort of sacrifices for me, or because he feels that that will be the best example for me to see. And I think that I must be all of this and more, considering all the time that I'll be living in as a father. I think that is a huge responsibility. I can only hope that I'm half the man that my dad has been to me, or I can exude a culture of the love that God has shown for me. And so yes, it's something that I know I will do, and it's something that I pray I do well. Do I look forward to it? Of course. Some part of it is something that I look forward to. But to be honest, I sit today and I pray that I become that person, because I'm still learning a lot.
From my dad's example, it is very clear that as a man, you always have to make sure that you break your back to keep your name clean. Dr. Victor Atto taught myself, my siblings, and my cousins who he trained to make sure that you keep your name and your integrity up there at every single time. And also another thing, that as a man, you need to earn everything you have. Break your back and earn everything you have. And make sure that you work such that many other people rather owe you something. And make sure as well that you stretch to the elastic limits before going to them to ask for a favor in return. When you have to go back to them to ask for a favor in return, make sure that you stretch to your elastic limits. Let that be the very last option. And for me, upholding all of these standards and working towards them over the years have brought me great satisfaction. It has taken me places, and I wish to live in that path for the rest of my life. I have 2 daughters, and I keep telling them now that they are beautiful, they are intelligent, and they will become great. On key places and you know, as a matter of principle, you do not want to be an impediment, or you do not want to add to the stress or to the troubles. I know that my wife does a lot, and so because of that, I'm not the kind of husband that will go demanding fresh food every other time. In fact, she's a wonderful cook. I love her food to bits, but I'm not the kind of husband who would come home every day, probably even come home late from work or from a function, and come and demand that she wakes up from her sleep to go and, wakes up to go and cook at midnight. And it's happening in many homes. Also, I do my best to provide a great support system. There are days that I say to myself, you know something, today is my family, my kids, and nothing else. Not all the money in the world, even though I've made all of it, you know, because the more time you lose, the more opportunities you're losing, you know, to make impact on them. So yes, I'm doing my best in terms of my example, in terms of helping out. And there's one very interesting thing that I do, you know. So in the morning, from preparing their food to getting them ready, I mean, we've got help, hired help as well. So I brush their teeth, and when we're brushing their teeth, it's very interesting. My firstborn is pretty used to it now, so she just comes, she cooperates, and you know, but the second one wants to tell you that she wants to hold the brush by herself and do it by herself, because that's what they are being taught in school, which is the way to go. And every other time she's in a hurry to spit out what she has into the sink. So she brushes twice and she does it. And then I have to coax her to, and then I have to do it, and all of these things are wonderful experiences. You see, the simple things are the things that make life quality. I'm teaching them about oral health. And you see, every time when the younger one is complaining, oh, it's too hard, it's too tough, I say, yes, your breath will smell fresh, your teeth will be clean, and every other time when you smile, you have beautiful teeth. You see, we're learning, but we're learning in a fun way. I'm not going and saying, hey, you have to brush your teeth at all costs your way. Because for instance, if you tell them that you have to brush your teeth, they'll tell you, okay, why do I have to brush my teeth? And then you go along the lines of, that's a silly question, and then it degenerates into something else. But learning has to be fun. Also, helping with homework is very, very important. So on the days when I get home early and they're still on with their homework, we do it. And on weekends as well, the pile up of homework, we take our time, we go through the motions, writing, they're very little, so we're writing the alphabets, proper pronunciations, constructing your language well. And I think that I get a lot of satisfaction from there.
It's not easy being a dad, or it's not easy being a parent, I must say. Fortunately for us, as in myself and Louisa, my wife, we have been lucky enough to be able to be there for the family at any point in time. There were times when I used to wake up at dawn to go to work. So I wake up at dawn and my wife will get the kids ready and send them to school. And then I'll close, because I go to work very early, I close early as well. So then I'm responsible for getting the kids from school and sending them to the house and giving them food to eat and taking care of them, their homework and everything. And actually spending time with them. It was really fun, spending time with them, teaching them how to ride bicycles and do interesting stuff like that. So it turned out that at some point, yes, then my wife, these days, my wife is the one who leaves home early, not very early, but she leaves home early. I'm responsible for sending the kids to school. Well, now the two of them are in boarding school. It's a older one, so I send that one to school as well. And in the evening, then she takes over, fetches Samantha not from school, but from her neighbors, and sends her home and spends time with her. So that's we've been running shift essentially all through. But one thing we determined from the very onset of our marriage was that we're not going to take in any house helps, and we haven't taken in any house help up until now. We don't have any house helps. The kids grew to a point where they could take care of their house by themselves, and so they had been doing that until the boys had to go to boarding school. But yes, we work in partnership. At some point she's the one taking up the responsibility, at some point I have been the one doing that, and we take turns to make sure the kids are brought up as well as we want them to. And so it's been fun. Now, one of the most important values I wish to instill in my children is diligence. Diligence in the way you go about your things. Be diligent in all your dealings, because this diligence is going to transcend every aspect of your life, and it would make you whole. So if you're applying diligence in anything that you do, clearly you're going to come out on top. If you're applying diligence in the way you go about your work as a father, it's going to put you on top. If you're applying diligence in the way you carry yourself at work, it's going to put you on top. If you're being diligent in the way you go about your academic work, it's going to put you on top. So for me, the number one value is diligence.
Fatherhood or parenting generally has changed from when I was my children's age. My oldest is 21 almost, my youngest is 6, and so I have quite a broad spectrum
of 5 children, and so I'm going through a bit of dealing with a young adult or young adults, and then still dealing with that little girl who's still very excited about life and still likes toys and pink and ribbons in her hair and all of that. And it's quite an interesting blend. It's what I try to do with all of them is I try to be as straightforward with all of them. I don't discriminate. If what the first one did is wrong, if what the last one did is wrong, is wrong. And I've also tried to let them understand that there's a hierarchical system. There's a first, there's a second, there's a third, there's a fourth, and there's a fifth. And it has to remain that way. They have to have mutual respect for each other. They have to understand who's older, who's younger. They have to understand that at the end of the day, they are one small army and they're supposed to bond together. So far it's worked, and I pray it works forever for them. Because, hey, I'm their father, I won't be here forever. And it is up to them to keep those bonds as children of the same father. Would I have failed if they don't keep the bonds? Yeah, in a way. Would I have succeeded if they keep the bonds? Yes, of course, I want the credit. So I guess that a sense of discipline is what I instill in them. A sense of doing what is right. A sense of being studious and responsible towards yourself and to each other. You know, that old line that says, take care of yourself and of each other. In a very subtle way, I try to let them understand that yes, you're responsible for yourself, but you're responsible for your other siblings as well. So far, it's worked. My advice is to every father out there, look after your stuff as much as you can. And some say look after your tribe, look after your clan. Some say actually when you look after your kids, it means you're taking care of your future. And so if you can afford it, if you genuinely can afford it, if it is not circumstances that have ensured that you are in a situation where you can't, take care of your future, and that future includes your children. They will carry your name going into the future. They will carry all the sentiments with them going into the future. And may you not be in a position where they have to look after you. May you be in a position where you die and even leave them some more. That is what I'm sure every real father would like. But assuming you're in a position where they will have to look after you, let them look after you with love, not with hate, not with regret. Let them look at you in your old age and say, hey dude, you're a damn good father. And let them be proud of you. And to those who are not fathers yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. But on a more serious note, you know, everybody can be a man, but not everybody can be a father. And so, be careful when you take the decision. It's not easy to be a father, but it's a good feeling. I wish you all well. Happy Father's Day to all fathers, whether you have biological children or not. As long as you're looking after somebody or somebody is a dependent, you're a father in your own way. So happy Father's Day to all of us. And may we remain role models for our children, especially our male children. Let them understand that fatherhood is not just giving birth or naming a child. It goes beyond that. Keeping responsibility alive, taking care of their needs, and be there for them as much as possible. And you yourself being a good role model for them, so they can pass it on to their children and to their children's children. Happy Father's Day.
Well, I think it was priceless. For me, it moved me straight up from, you know, a boy to a man, in quotes, because then I felt, well, I'm also going to have an offspring. I mean, somebody who's going to bear my name, somebody who's going to have a semblance of me, a piece of me, and it changed my perspective towards life as well. I think that it made me to sit up. And yes, it was great news, all in all. But it moves from, you know, you just thinking about yourself alone all the time. You know, you have to work hard. There's going to be another member of the family, and the joy when you finally see that bundle of joy as well, when the person is brought into the world. And for me, that's another chapter that changed my life. I mean, it made me to be extra, responsible and cautious. And also to take decisions, not just affectual. At first, I could have said, okay, I'm going home. It's just myself and my wife. So you place a call and you speak to us. Okay, you're staying out late and that is fine. But now you have to go in there, help with homework, check, how well their beds are kept. So I think that is a great experience. And like I said initially, it's priceless. My name is Kotna Anochedisi, CEO of EIB Network in the Empire Group. And I'm wishing all fathers a happy Father's Day. Fathers, like we all know, yes, we had the families, but I believe that we are the chief servants as well. We make life beautiful. Mothers, you've had your days, or maybe moms or weeks. It's all about you always. So this day, please celebrate us, live it for us. Let's have a great time. And please pamper us. We need it. It's not just about the women. So to every father out there, thanks so much. We salute you. We make this world a wonderful place to be in. And hey, live it. Love the kids, not just your biological children, but extend the love to all. They deserve it. Happy Father's Day.
Congratulations to Junior Shapers Africa, FL and the entire team. Thank you for the work that you do. Sowing seeds is a difficult, patient, arduous task. You have to keep pouring such an important resource, life, into the ground every single day, not knowing if the seed will ever germinate. And that's the kind of work I believe JSA does. When you pour your lives, your intellect, your passions, your talents into these young people, and they can only show you the results of what you have done some 10, 15 years down the line. It's a very bold task you have taken, and I'd like to encourage you, because someone has to do it. Someone has to do it. I know that even though, yes, I grew up with a great father, if I'd had an opportunity like this, there's something that I would have learned that would have added to the many lessons that I learned in my childhood. So I'm very grateful, first of all, that you have decided to contact me in this way. And I'm very grateful to you on behalf of these boys. A lot of them cannot thank you well until they're my age. So I'm taking that opportunity for them, for every single boy that you speak to. Thank you very much, and please don't stop. It may be frustrating, it may seem something, but don't stop. It will pay off. If for nothing at all, we would have more responsible boys some 20 years down the line.
Hi there, so my name is Bolari, and I want to tell you that fathers matter.